Okay. Great. So without much ado, let's start today's budget journey. And I'm quite excited because this is a very interesting time when this budget came. There was a lot of expectations from this budget, and we will see whether this has been able to deliver on those promises or not. There were a lot of hits. There were some misses. What were these hits and what were these misses? But first, a disclaimer that budget is a huge document, and while I've tried to cover a lot in this particular session, yet I can assure you that I would have missed something. So please forgive me. But if you felt that there's something which you would like to know more, write to me. If I would have covered it, I would definitely send you a mail back. Else, I would research and send you something on that note. Second thing, what I did was I tried to put myself in the shoes of a beginner and thought, what is the news which really makes me stand out? And secondly, what is something which other news media channels are not telling us? So I've tried to capture those particular interesting facts from this budget, which you won't find on the mainstream media, I should say. There are still a lot of professors and people who are talking about these numbers and other bits, but not the mainstream. So that's where I've covered. And feel free to stop me, ask me a question wherever you feel. Uh, and if I'm rushing, please let me know. Uh, uh, Yes. So Rajat, this is actually live on the YouTube. So anytime you can go to our new Nivesh Gyan channel and can watch it over there. So definitely that saves us the bandwidth of recording this session. Great. Great. So I love this video. So let's start with something interesting.
लोग मुझसे हमेशा टिप मांगते रहते हैं इन्वेस्टमेंट की। वैसे मुफ्त में मैं किसी को टिप देता नहीं, पर क्योंकि आज इंडिया का मार्केट खुला है, मुहूर्त वाली टिप देता हूं। इन्वेस्ट इन इंडिया, इंडिया पे लगा दो, क्योंकि इंडिया का भाव बढ़ने वाला है।
Right. So what I feel is this particular uh, this particular thing actually talks a lot about this current budget, because the moment this budget came, the stock market boomed like crazy. We will discuss what actually happened. Were there really some uh, impediments which made this budget go boom for the stock market, and will it actually affect the Indian economy in the long run as well? So that's what we are going to cover today.
लोग
Now let's see how to understand and budget. So the easiest way to understand in budget is it is something like your own household expense. कि पूरे साल में आपने कितना कमाया और कितना आपने खर्च किया. तो ये आखिर में ओवरऑल घर से हटके आपके देश का बन जाता है. There are a lot of economists who actually says this is not the right way, and I'm going to talk about it at a later stage why this is not the right way. But let's try to understand budget in a more detailed manner. So let's say आपने सोचा कि आपके पास 20 लाख रुपए आप कमा पाएंगे इस बार, और साथ में आपने सोचा कि 20 लाख तो आपकी सैलरी में से है, 1 लाख आप कुछ सेशंस करके या एक्स्ट्रा इनकम के तौर पे 1 लाख आप अपना सामान कुछ सेल करके आप 1 लाख और कमाएंगे, राइट? और फिर आप कहते हैं जो आपका एक्सपेंडिचर होगा वो 25 लाख होगा, और वो आपका जनरल एक्सपेंडिचर होगा, और मोस्टली जनरल एक्सपेंडिचर आप बचा नहीं सकते, तो ये बहुत जरूरी होता है, ये होगा ही आपका। और साथ में आपने कहा कि 3 लाख रुपए आपको जो इसी साल का स्पेशल एक्सपेंडिचर है उस पे खर्च करना है। लेट्स से आपको हाउस को रिनोवेशन करना है, सो मोटा मोटा ये घर का हमारा बजट होता है। तो अगर आप इसमें देखें तो 20 लाख जो आपकी सैलरी थी और जो 25 लाख आपका बहुत जरूरी खर्चा था, उसका जो डेफिसिट होता है उसको कहते हैं रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट। तो हमारा जो 25 माइनस 20 हुआ तो 5 लाख का आपका रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट हो गया। और अगर टोटल आप ऐड करें तो 25 आपने कहा था 25 का खर्चा होगा और 3 लाख मेरा और एक्स्ट्रा खर्चा होगा, तो 28 लाख की का मेरा खर्चा होगा और 21 लाख की आपकी इनकम होगी। आप कहोगे ऐसे तो घर चल ही नहीं पाएगा, पर ये थोड़ा देश का मामला है, तो देश के मामले में ये चल जाता है कि आपकी कमाई कम है, खर्चे ज्यादा हैं, और वो आपका 28 लाख का खर्चा था और 21 लाख की आपकी इनकम थी। और तो आपका ओवरऑल 7 लाख का डेफिसिट होता है, तो विच इज नोन एज फिस्कल डेफिसिट। तो दो तरह के डेफिसिट होते हैं, एक होता है रेवेन्यू डेफिसिट विच इज कांट बी स्टॉप्ड, तो वो जो एक्सपेंडिचर है वो भी बहुत जरूरी है, और जो आपका इनकम है वो भी आपकी काफी हद तक फिक्स्ड होती है, और वो भी ऐसे एकदम से आप बढ़ा नहीं सकते। और अब इसको अगर आपको सरकार की तरह से समझना है, इन सारे जो लैक्स मैंने आपको बताया उसके आगे 1 करोड़ और लगा दीजिए। सो ये सारे नंबर्स 2019 से 2020 के हैं, तो हमारा अगर आप डेफिसिट देखेंगे 2019 से 2020 का, तो 7 लाख करोड़ हमारा डेफिसिट आता है, क्योंकि 28 माइनस 21। हाउएवर जब प्रोजेक्शंस दी जाती हैं, सो इट्स ऑलवेज ऑन अ ऑप्टिमिस्टिक मोड। तो हुआ क्या कि हमारा जितना हमने सोचा था कि हमारे पास 20 लाख आ जाएंगे, आया केवल 17 लाख करोड़। और साथ में हमने एक्सपेंडिचर सोचा था कि हमारा 25 लाख हो जाएगा, पर सरकार ने केवल कहा कि हमने 23.5 लाख करोड़ किया, विच इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। हम अभी अगली स्लाइड में समझेंगे कि ये 1.5 लाख करोड़ कहाँ गया। तो सरकार कहती है कि ये हुआ, बट ओवरऑल जो हमारा फिस्कल डेफिसिट हो गया वो 11.5 लाख का फिस्कल डेफिसिट हो गया, विच इज अ ह्यूज डेफिसिट जो हमारे देश में होता है। हाँ, मैंने आपको कहा कि 1.5 लाख करोड़ सरकार ने कहा कि खर्चा नहीं हुआ हमारा, तो हमने जब कहा कि हमने 21 लाख हमारी इनकम होगी, पर हमारी इनकम हुई थी 17.5 लाख करोड़ की। गवर्नमेंट ने कहा कि हम खर्चा 25 का करेंगे, पर केवल 23.5 लाख का। और इसके अंदर जो एक बहुत बड़ा कंपोनेंट है जहां पे 1.5 लाख करोड़ की खर्चा होता है, वो है एफडीआई, फूड सब्सिडी। तो सरकार has been paying food subsidies from ages, और लास्ट 3 साल से वो फूड की सब्सिडी दे रहे हैं, बट उसका कभी भी उन्होंने फूड सब्सिडी कॉर्पोरेशन को उसका अकाउंट डायरेक्टली हमारी बुक्स में नहीं आता। सो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड बिकॉज ऑफ इट इज कि जितना भी हमारा एक्सपेंडिचर था, सरकार कहती है कि फूड कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया से कि आप जाओ और सारा गेहूं और अनाज, मोस्टली दे बाय द व्हीट एंड द राइस फ्रॉम द फार्मर्स, उसको आप ले लो। और पर हम आपको आपका अगर 100 रुपए खर्च होता है तो हम केवल आपको 80 रुपए देंगे, जो 20 रुपए है वो आप मार्केट से बोरो कर लो। एंड दे वर बोरोइंग फ्रॉम स्मॉल सेविंग स्कीम। तो जितनी भी हमारी स्मॉल सेविंग स्कीम्स थी उसका पैसा वो लोग मार्केट से उठा लेते थे, और बिकॉज सरकार इनकी बैकिंग थी, जिसकी वजह से कोई इनको मना नहीं करता था। सो दैट हैज बीन द केस। तो ओवरऑल खर्चा 25 लाख करोड़ ही हुआ था, पर सरकार हमेशा अपना फिस्कल डेफिसिट कम दिखाना चाहती है, सो दैट हम सरकार को कभी ये ना कह पाए कि इस सरकार ने हमारे देश की हालत काफी हालत में खराब कर दी। सो दैट हैज बीन द केस व्हिच हैज बीन हैपनिंग, बट दिस गवर्नमेंट एंड दिस बजट एक्चुअली डिड समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। और ये जो भारत की सरकार है वो कैश अकाउंटिंग को फॉलो करती है। दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट टू अंडरस्टैंड। कैश अकाउंटिंग का मतलब है दैट व्हाट दिस से इज, जब एक्सपेंडिचर फाइनली हमारी बुक से जाएगा बाहर, तब हम उसको अकाउंट करेंगे, ना कि जब हमने उसका कुछ सोचा कि हम ये एक्सपेंडिचर करेंगे। तो एफडीआई को क्योंकि हमने केवल 80 रुपए दिए, सो वी अकाउंट ओनली फॉर द 80 रुपीज इन दैट पर्टिकुलर कंपोनेंट। वी आर नॉट अकाउंटिंग फॉर द कंप्लीट 100 rupees which actually Food Corporation of India has spent to procure the wheat and rice. Rajat, is this point clear? This is an important point, like how governments make this accountability accounting error and makes us believe that our fiscal books are quite well off, while in reality, there's a lot of numbers which are fudged and are problematic for the country. Now, while we all keep talking about central budget, or India is one country which is very passionate about its budgets, but the truth is we should actually look at both the central and the state expenses, because state budgets have actually grown bigger than the central budgets today. So agar aap dekhenge, so the state income is double that of central. So 46 lakh crores is the state budget right now. And uh, a state earns two types of income. uh, First is state GST. तो जितना भी स्टेट के अंदर जीएसटी का इनकम होता है वो स्टेट जीएसटी में चला जाता है, और दूसरा है 42% ऑफ द सेंट्रल. सो सेंट्रल भी जितना भी जीएसटी का रेवेन्यू अर्न करेगी उसका 42% वो आपको वो स्टेट्स को पास ऑन कर देती है बेस्ड ऑन विच स्टेट हैज गॉट दैट पर्टिकुलर सेंट्रल जीएसटी. तो टोटल हमारा 57 का रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर होता है अगर हम पूरे इंडिया की बात करें इंक्लूडिंग स्टेट एंड द सेंट्रल, और 66 करोड़ टोटल एक्सपेंडिचर होते हैं. नाउ इंडिया का ओवरऑल जीडीपी इज 200 लाख करोड़. तो अगर उन नंबर्स को हम देखेंगे सो वी विल रियलाइज दैट इंडिया का ओवरऑल जीडीपी राइट नाउ इज एट 10% ऑफ द जीडीपी, विच इज क्वाइट ह्यूज एंड इट्स अ प्रॉब्लमेटिक सिचुएशन. तो जिसकी वजह से आप देखोगे हर सरकार फिस्कल डेफिसिट को कम दिखाने की हमेशा कोशिश में लगी रहती है. But my point over here is there are two things which we need to realize. We all have been following only the central budgets, but state budgets are also important. Their allocation also makes a lot of difference, because now if we combine the state's budget, it has actually grown bigger than the central budget. Secondly, if we look at government's budgets have not been that great. हमारी इकोनॉमी का केवल 10% जीडीपी है. सो अंटिल the private players also starts playing a very pivotal role, it's very difficult to really boost Indian economy today. Now, there are few things why we need to understand our budgets. It's an important document which gives us detail of the expenditure of our tax money. So this helps us to understand कि हमारा पैसा जा कहाँ रहा है. It also helps us understand where our country is going and where are its priorities. And last, what has been the tax implications for us for the coming year? तो हम सबको जब भी budget आता है, there all the time there are some changes which happens which affect each individual, all of us. So if we just don't know कि हम hit क्या करने वाला है, तो हम उससे से safeguard क्या कर सकते हैं. तो अगर हम लोग बजट्स को हल्का सा फॉलो करेंगे कि व्हाट आर द मेन पॉइंट्स, वी कैन रियलाइज व्हाट आर द एरियाज where we are going to get affected every year whenever a budget comes, and whether this particular government is following the right policies for us or not. Right. One of the biggest contention which all of us people who are earning money and the middle class keeps making hue and cry is कि हमारे देश में बहुत टैक्स बेस बहुत छोटा है. अगर इस प्रॉब्लम को हमें असल में सॉल्व करना है तो इसके केवल दो ही सॉल्यूशन हो सकते हैं. वन इज डोमेस्टिक आउटपुट. वी रियली नीड टू मेक श्योर दैट आवर प्रोडक्टिविटी इंक्रीजेस ड्रास्टिकली. अगर हमारे इकोनॉमी की प्रोडक्टिविटी नहीं बढ़ेगी तो ये टैक्स बेस हमेशा छोटा रहेगा, और जो हमारे सेंट्रल के रेवेन्यूज है, फिस्कल डेफिसिट है, ओवर द इयर्स इट विल एक्चुअली इंक्रीज अगर हमने अपना एक्सपेंडिचर को और बढ़ाया. अनदर कॉन्ट्रास्टिंग पॉइंट इज हमारे देश में 40% जनता तो वैसे ही एग्रीकल्चर में है. तो अगर वो एग्रीकल्चर में है तो डेफिनेटली जॉब्स नीचे की तरफ ही रहेंगी. Simultaneously, 17% of our GDP is only contributed by women, and it's a very dire situation, because this number matches with the Middle East. So you can understand what I'm trying to say is that we really need to make sure our output increases. Jobs for the right now the segment which is not captured should be captured into the job market. And thirdly, the women share has to increase in the workforce, because we are missing on a lot, that our GDP size definitely need to rise to a very high potential, so that the women percentage can also rise along with it. So ये टैक्स बेस रहेगा until हम लोग ये दो प्रॉब्लम्स अपनी सॉल्व नहीं करेंगे. Now another contention जो आता है, and this is a very important issue. So during the COVID, US and UK printed a lot of money, and we all felt like, why is India not printing the money? Why India is not providing money for everyone? I do hope, first of all, you would have realized India actually doesn't have a lot of money power. Indian central government can't increase their expenditures beyond a point, because it's only a 10% of the GDP. This year, it's actually ballooned quite a lot. So the second option comes कि हम print कर दें पैसे का. So in the initial, when I was explaining you, a house budget is different from a country budget. The main rationale was because government has a way of printing money which is not available with you and I, right? So that's very powerful. So now why it's not works is, let's say in this particular situation, if a government prints some money, firstly, what will happen is they will print the money, government spends this money either in the infrastructure and or infrastructure or the welfare schemes. What happens because of this? In the welfare schemes, when they spend their money, this money goes in the hand of the people. When these people receive the money, they should have a consumption power right now. But if they are in a very dire situation, what they will do is they will put it in the banks. Now, currently, our banks are not very happy to go and lend because of all the NPA issues. So what will happen is this money started from the RBI, went to infrastructure projects and other things, made some progress. They came to the consumer. Consumer was very hesitant. He puts in the banks. Banks were already very liquidated, so they had got extra money. They don't want to lend it to the people, so they put it back. So the point again come back. We have to improve that our output of our work improves, so that the whole cycle breaks, and then providing the money makes a lot of difference. But abhi ki scenario mein printing money was not a great idea, and I think government did a right job of not printing, because inflation बढ़ जाता और वो पैसे से जो काम होना था वो उतना इफेक्ट भी नहीं दिखाता जितना हमने उसको सोचा था. Now I hope you all have understood that we have got two kinds of deficit. First is revenue deficit, which is major income, major income minus expenditure, and to an extent, central government's budgets always remain negative. And there is nothing wrong about being negative, because they have to spend money on a lot of important activities like health, education, and other bits. So that's where revenue deficit come, and another is a fiscal deficit. But you and I have a responsibility to make sure that we keep challenging our government to reduce the revenue deficit. Why? Because this can only increase when the tax base increases. So they have to create more jobs so that more people earn, more people pay taxes, और जिससे उनका income बढ़ेगा. The expenditure to a large extent is the salary and the pensions. Government should actually not be in the business of running a business. So वो salary वाले part को उनको कम करना पड़ेगा. So they need to bring a lot of private players in the companies which has been till now are being run inefficiently by the government. तो अगर वो दोनों होगा, because understand, अगर आज आप या मैं में से कोई लोन लेता है, वो किसी ना किसी को तो पे करना पड़ेगा. अगर मैंने पे नहीं किया, so my children would need to pay. So revenue deficit is borrowing from your child's future for today. So we all can live a good life, but our kids would not be having a good life if we keep doing, and our fiscal deficit is high. But please remember, there's a caveat that deficits are not all the time bad if the money is put in a productive use. तो अगर आज आपने लोन लेके कुछ ऐसा एसेट बनाया जिससे बहुत ज्यादा इनकम हुई, बहुत ज्यादा लोग आपके टैक्स ब्रैकेट में आए, तो योर income earning capability will increase to such an extent that you will be able to do much more, और फिर आपका deficit reduce हो सकता है. I hope this point is very clear because this is a very important point. And please understand, people say कि इंडिया का डेटा साफ नहीं है, इंडिया का डेटा is not trustworthy when it comes to budget numbers, but China fudges most of its numbers. Yet they have done one thing right. They have created jobs and output in China. So we just can't deny these particular facts. So that's very powerful when it comes to China. Great. So let's talk about what this budget 2021 has got for individuals like you and I. So there has not been any major changes. So there's been no change in the tax slabs. So what I feel is this is a good change, because every time you change the tax slab, what it does is it just benefits all the CAs sitting out there, but just brings a lot of confusion to people like you and I. So that's not a good thing. That's what I would say. Secondly, what they have said is in EPF, and I will share some figures with you how drastic this game was. They have said now if you are contributing more than 2.5 lakh per annum in an EPF, it's going to be taxable. And again, this is a great move, because this is just plugging some of the loopholes in our tax bracket. Because Nirmala Sitharaman says 1,23,000 HNIs were earning 50 lakh in tax-free interest. 50 lakh in tax-free interest? This is insane. And these all have got 5.92 crore each only in the Provident Fund. So what this particular law is going to do is that it's going to charge all of these people above a bracket, and all of normal people are going to get the EPF benefit, but not people all who are above a particular tax bracket. So that's what will happen. And another interesting statistics: the person with the highest EPF contribution, contribution, has got 103 crores in his account, and two others have got 86 crores in their account. So that's kind of a money which was there. Yet it also proves one point, that this government is moving to a format where you would not find any tax-free income or tax deductions on your income in the future years. So last year they introduced a tax slabs where there was no tax deduction you can avail. And this year they are moving on to a platform where EPF is becoming, after a percent, you have to pay taxes on it. Similarly, they brought another thing in the ULIP as well. We will talk about it. But some of the other things which they have done is, now last year they said that dividends will be taxed, and all the people were quite worried, because calculating dividend from each particular stock is not an easy thing if you are a trader, or if you invest in a long-term stocks as well, and you have got a portfolio of 40-50 stocks. So what they're saying is, from this particular year, all your capital gains from listed securities, dividend income, and interest from banks, post office, etc., will come pre-filled. So you don't need to file it. They will take it from your bank account, and that will happen. Another interesting, what they are saying is, now for 2 years they will try to ascertain people who are not filing the TDS. So beware, if you have not been filing the income tax, you might have to start paying an extra twice the TDS which you had to pay for non-filing your taxes. And senior citizens which are above 75 years of age, and who have been getting their income only from the pension and the interest income, they don't need to pay the income tax now. And I think this is a very powerful act. However, uh, I have talked to few people, but there will be very few people who will come in this particular bracket, because at a at an age of 75, a lot of people actually have a lot of one or two more sources of income, and they are also saying that this particular senior citizen also needs to have only one account where all his pension money and the interest income is coming. So I think it's a good move. It's a move in the right direction, but it will uh, com- comprise only very few people at this particular juncture. Similarly, ULIP has also been brought into the tax bracket. So what they are saying is, if you are in putting more than 2.5 lakhs in ULIP, then that's also becomes taxable. And they are saying we want to reduce the litigation for small taxpayers. So what they have done is, this year, if you have an income overall of 50, if you have a 50 lakhs of income, and the variance between the charges which you are saying कि भैया जो मेरा problem है वो 10 लाख से कम का है, then you can actually go to another redressal place where you can get your queries solved. So 50 लाख की आपकी इनकम होनी चाहिए, और जो वेरिएंस होना चाहिए वो अगर 10 लाख के अंदर है, तो आप एक्चुअली एक अनदर ऐसे इनकम टैक्स रिड्रेसल के पास जाके अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व कर सकते हो. This time, people who have not filed the taxes, they can only file their taxes by December. Till now, the date used to be till 31st March. Uh, so they have reduced 3 months, and they have kept the housing sector additional tax deduction of 1.5 lakhs on interest paid on housing loan. But please remember, the nitty-gritty of this particular tax deduction is, it should be the first time that you are buying a house, and this house should not be more than 40 lakhs. So these are the important points which you should know, which are not noteworthy for an individual, which were brought in this particular thing. Now, last year, after PMC Bank and Yes Bank and other issues, a lot of people were worried, what, should we keep our money in the bank? So this time, Nirmala Sitharaman has brought a clause that if some bank goes bad, you will have a complete security of 5 lakhs in the event a bank fails. So I think this is the one very powerful thing which they have done correct, because you have to keep the faith in the banking financial system of a country to make the country viable. So that's very important, which they did. Uh, right. So I hope you remember about our discussion about the fiscal deficit, that every government tried to reduce their fiscal deficit. And it's very interesting that a lot of governments delay the payments also just to solve their fiscal deficit issue. So they will say बाद में पेमेंट ले लेना, जिससे मार्च बीत जाए और वो बजट जब पास करें तो आपको ये दिखाएं कि हमारा फिस्कल डेफिसिट कम है, और फिर बाद में वो फिस्कल डेफिसिट अगले साल में वो डाल देंगे. Now, this year, this government has brought a lot of transparency, and I think this would be another high point for me. So the fiscal deficit has ballooned to 18.49, which is 9.5% of our GDP from 3.5% of the GDP. And I think I have to give credit to Narendra Modi for making the fiscal discipline to a very high standards from 2014 onwards. But this year, maybe because of the COVID and all those things, he had to step up the fiscal deficit. Though this is not the true story that the whole money was spent on just on the COVID issue. There was another huge jump which happened due to the FCI. So I told you about the 1.5 lakh crores which gets spent over there, and this was happening from the last 3 years. So this year they have brought 3.44 trillion from FCI in the actual budget, and I think this is quite good, because what will it does is it brings transparency, and all the rating agencies will start rating us highly because of our transparency, that our books can be read in the right manner, and they don't need to go here and there to figure out what is the true fiscal deficit of India. So while it might look high right now, but now we know the rationale why it is, and we no one can come up with another figure that this is the fiscal deficit, and another and no one can keep disputing on a fiscal deficit, which is very important for a country. And I think they need to project the right numbers when they are projecting our budgets. That's very important. Now, we started with a video of Harshit Mehta scam video, but right now what's happening in the market is actually quite crazy, but there's a rationale why it's happening. So government has actually put a lot of spending this year, and this year it will spend at 34.50 trillion, which is around 13.5 against the budgeted 30.42. uh, Interestingly, the budgeted for the next year is also 34.83, which you will say is somehow quite similar to what we have spent this year. But the truth is, in this 34.83, 8.3 lakh dollars crores is actually the interest we need to pay on all our loans which we have taken. So and last year it was 6 lakh crore which the interest was. So this 2 lakh crores is the increase in the interest, but it is not increase in the expenditure. So in real terms, the expenditure is only going to be 26 lakh crores, while last year it was 28.5 lakh crores which happened. So while both the numbers look same, 34.5 and 34.83, yet the truth is we are spending less money this year than next year. But this is a high expenditure because generally we have been spending budgeted somewhere around approximately 10% of our expenditure, but this year we are jumping and making sure that uh, the government acts as a last resort. When banks are not ready to spend money on the ground, government is coming out and saying, I have got the money and I will make sure that I would be the first mover, and then the economy can start pepping up. Another big thing which has happened is the huge number of NPAs, and all our PSUs banks are right now becoming quite toxic. So because they have got a lot of bad assets with them, and you and I would not like to touch a bank which has got bad assets. So what government is saying is, let's create a bad bank. What it does is, bad bank sits as another bank, and it buys all the bad bonds from all the consumers and says, uh, this is where we are. You wanted uh, kind of money from us, and we are going to solve your problem by buying all your bad assets, but at a huge discount. So what finance minister has released, they're first calling it as an MC, management, ARC, asset restructuring company. And what they're saying is it will only pay 15% of upfront. So if your loan is 100 rupees, it will only pay you 15 rupees upfront, and 85% will be as bonds, which will say that we will pay you the rest of the money only when we get this thing back from you. It's an interesting concept, but it's not that it has been launched this time for the first time. This has been tried in the past, and the problem is majorly all the bad assets are with the PSUs, and very few PSUs will have the strong mandate that they can lend their bad loans at such a discounted price to these AMC. But it's a good move that they are trying something and learning from it. So I think it's a good move, and that's why all the PSU bank stocks have risen quite a lot in the past 1 week itself. I think it's one of the best run which they have seen after 2009. So please, if you follow markets, just look at the PSU stocks, and now you know what's the rationale, and most of it is because of the setting up of this bad bank. Interestingly, government doing has said, and everyone was expecting this, that the expense on the health is going to increase quite a lot, and they have provided 35,000 crores for the COVID-19 vaccine, and they have also brought in for 2021 to 22 2.24 trillion, which is up by 137% in comparison to this year. So, which is humongous amount of money which they are putting in the health, and which was required. Indian health infrastructure is quite in the dire need of money. But out of this, there's 36,000 crores which they are spending over the water and sanitation, and this has been their point. And in the start, I talked about that government is not in the business of running business, and this government is trying to de-invest a lot of their high-profile companies. And because understand, this expenditure is happening this year, but where this money is going to come from? We know that India earns the revenue of 17.5 last year. So let's say this year it increases to 10 or let's say 15%, and we reach out to 21. So the fiscal deficit is going to increase drastically, and the interest is building on all of this money. So government has a huge pressure to make sure that the other part of the income increases quite rapidly, या तो ये आपका डेफिसिट की प्रॉब्लम बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएगी, तो जिसकी वजह से ये डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट करना बहुत जरूरी है. Great. Another interesting thing which this government did was they brought in agriculture infrastructure cess. But I'm sure no one has seen the price rise, and this was a significant amount. This was like 2.5 rupees on petrol and 4 rupees on diesel, but still there was no hue and cry on the roads. Do you know why? Because the moment the government included the cess, and they have just not included only on agriculture infrastructure cess and only on petrol and diesel, they have actually included in a lot of other things also. But they reduced the price of both these items also. So जहां पे उन्होंने 2.5 रुपए पेट्रोल पे बढ़ाया, वहीं पे 2.5 रुपए उन्होंने पेट्रोल पे कम भी कर दिया. तो सेस बढ़ा दिया बट प्राइस कम कर दिया. अब आप पूछोगे अरे तो इससे तो सरकार को कोई फायदा नहीं हुआ, बट दे इज अ गिमिक. क्योंकि जब भी हमारा सेस जो होता है वो सेंट्रल के पास आता है, और जो मैंने आपको बताया था जीएसटी जो होता है वो सारा सरकार को 42% स्टेट्स को बांटना होता है और 58% वो उसके पास रहता है. सो नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन इज द money which is going to flow from the central to the state is going to reduce, but the money which is going to come to the central is going to increase. Yet there's not going to be any major effect on the consumer until they again start increasing the price of petrol and diesel. So this is an interesting part which you need to realize, how while India is a one country, but central and state are in a kind of a tussle for the revenues, which is not a great thing. So they definitely need to bring more transparency and more collaboration between the central and the state to run this economy well. Else, it's going to be tough going forward. Another few powerful things which they did, they reduced the Manrega expenditure drastically, which is not the best of the things which I would say. Education expenditure has also reduced by 6.13%. Fiscal deficit ballooned 18.49, and now it's the fiscal deficit is 9.5%. But please understand, this is not a bad figure. Everyone will talk on the main media that this is very bad. It has always been in the range of 6.5 or somewhere, because we were not showing FCI's true figure in our fiscal deficit. So they have only brought it, and some bit is because of the COVID and extra expense which was required at this point. tax collections are falling short, so what they had expected, but I think it will improve drastically if they can again bring output and make sure that the private investments comes in this particular bit. So that's so for the highlight interesting point. And last but not the important point is they are planning on selling surplus land lying with the government ministries, and I think it's so much important because let's say in Delhi they have got some land in this central Delhi, and central Delhi is crowded with uh, the land prices are so high. But if a government starts selling their land, there are three things which is going to happen. The government is going to get the money by selling these assets, which is huge required by our government. Second, the pressure on the land in these metro cities will reduce because we are not talking about a small house or something. It's government assets which are huge in sizes. So pressure on the land is going to reduce. And third, it will push the infrastructure. And infrastructure is a very powerful sector. Another session it will take, but whenever infrastructure gets pushed, the whole economy gets pushed by its whole part. So that's what I would say. And what should we be expecting from the next five budgets? Bring down the revenue deficit. So I have been saying revenue deficit is taking loan from the future generation. So we should definitely uh, reduce this revenue deficit more on the sectors that are pivotal. So please spend on urban infrastructure, sanitation, education, health, create more jobs, stronger financial system. We need increased credit to GDP. Interestingly, India credit to GDP is only 50%. So India GDP is 200 lakh crores, and it's only 100 crore which is corporate debt which is taken, while in China it's 200%. So we definitely can't compare the GDP of China to India, but credit can be measured, and India also starts needs to believe in their companies. And yes, but still be wary of the companies which are fraud and which are doing a fraudulent business, and disinvestment of more PSUs and real estate. This is only the way by which we can reduce the fiscal deficit and increase our expenditure on the pivotal sectors, which is a huge requirement. So yes, that's all from our side. We run a, a financial help service. We run a WhatsApp channel, and we also have a YouTube channel. If you have not seen it, please go and check it out. We keep uploading some interesting video, not too many,